Welcome back to Focal Point with Brian Fisher. Just want to hitchhike on what you heard in that last spot from Bert Harper. October is Pastor Appreciation Month. We're September 26th, so just a few days away from Pastor Appreciation Month. I got fired during Pastor Appreciation Month, by the way. So churches don't always appreciate their pastors during Pastor Appreciation Month, but your church can be different. And I would encourage you to send your pastor to this fishbowl retreat that you heard Bert Harper talking about. One of the terrific ways you can show your concern, your appreciation for your pastor, because I know, having been in a pastorate for 25 years, it's brutal. In fact, I think probably pastors of small churches who are solo pastors or maybe have just one kind of part-time, maybe youth pastor, I think that could be the toughest job in America. In fact, I heard a guy by the name of Fred Smith. He is an industry leader. I think he worked in the garment industry, but he was a top-notch guy. He was a top-tier CEO executive, and he was a strong Christian who got very involved in church life and wanted to encourage pastors. And I heard him say one time that he thought, he's speaking as a CEO, not speaking now as a Christian, but speaking as a CEO, he thought that the toughest job in America was a pastor of a small church, a guy that's in it kind of all by himself. They carry a tremendous load. They're absolutely crucial for the future of America. So if you can get your pastor right, even if you are part of a larger church, pastors need this. Visibility for pastors in larger churches can create a whole new raft of problems for them. So this is a 3-day, 2-night retreat. Dr. Robert Jeffress, who's the pastor of First Baptist Church in Dallas, he will be here for it. This fishbowl retreat is going to be at our headquarters here in Tupelo, so you can go visit the birthplace of Elvis Presley while you are here. So go ahead and call 1-800-FAMILIES and hit extension 302 for more information, 1-800-FAMILIES, extension 302, or you can go to repairingthefoundations.net, repairingthefoundations.net. Now, just a little bit more on this Islam stuff. You remember that President Obama said in 2007 when he took office, "I have come here to seek a new beginning between the United States and Muslims around the world." So President Obama came into office saying, look, I'm going to change the way the Muslim world looks at the United States. Well, here is a poll, a Rasmussen poll that was released yesterday. Daily Caller has the story, which says that a plurality of likely voters, 45%, believe that U.S. relations with the Islamic world are worse under Barack Obama than they were under President Bush. And only 18% believe that they're better. By 45 to 18%, they believe that Barack Obama has made things worse with the Muslim world. And you know why they're worse? One word: weakness. The reason that our relationship with the Muslim world is worse under Obama than Bush is weakness. What Barack Obama has projected is weakness. He's projected vacillation. He has projected ineffectiveness. He's projected a lack of resolve. He's projected a lack of willingness to use American force to protect our own people. And the Muslim, remember, this is a very aggressive religion. In fact, one of the main differences, I've got a story in the stack somewhere. I'm going to dig it out and go through it with you sometime, but it talks about the difference in the mindset between Muslims that's cultivated by Islam and, well, it doesn't compare it to the Christian mindset, but compares it to the Western mindset, which has been shaped by Christianity. And here's one of the main differences. And this is why George Bush was naive about this. Barack Obama is naive about this. Everybody that thinks Ron Paul is naive about this, everybody that thinks that the Muslims will love us if we just stay out of their neighborhoods doesn't know what they're talking about. Anybody who says or thinks remotely that Islam is a religion of peace just does not know what they are talking about. And this was work that was done by a guy by the name of Nikolai Sennels. He's a Danish psychologist, done a lot of work with juvenile delinquents in the penal system there in Denmark or Holland. Maybe he's Dutch, so maybe this is Holland. I think it's the same country where Geert Wilders is. I'm about to get to some more sound bites. By the way, give us a call, 888-589-8840, 888-589-8840. I'd like to get your reactions to Ahmadinejad and Barack Obama at the UN and where we're at with the Muslim world. 888-589-8840. But Nikolai Sennels says, look, one of the things that we need to understand is that in the Islamic mindset, in the West, we look at temper or anger as a weakness. When we lose our temper, we think that's something we need to apologize for. In the Muslim world, that's looked at as weakness. That anger and expression of anger is looked at as an expression of masculinity and strength. So that's why it's impossible for a Muslim to be embarrassed when he loses his temper, because that's an expression of masculine strength. Now, let's listen to Barack Obama. Let's go to clip 4 and 5, Rob, if we can, and listen to Barack Obama just basically show this appeasement to the entire Islamic world. Let's listen.
The future must not belong to those who slander the Prophet of Islam. But to be credible, those who condemn that slander must also condemn the hate we see in the images of Jesus Christ that are desecrated, or churches that are destroyed, or the Holocaust that is denied. Let us condemn incitement against Sufi Muslims and Shia pilgrims. It's time to heed the words of Gandhi. Intolerance is itself a form of violence and an obstacle to the growth of a true democratic spirit.
So that's Barack Obama yesterday at the UN. And the key pull quote was from the very beginning of that speech. And Rob, let's cue up clip 4 again. I just want to play the first few seconds, the first statement of Obama, because this is the takeaway. This is what the Muslim world is going to hear. It's fine. He goes on and talks about the Constitution and the First Amendment and freedom of speech, blah, blah, blah. The Muslim world is not going to hear that. The only thing they are going to hear are the first words that came out of his mouth in this sentence. Let's listen.
The future must not belong to those who slander the Prophet of Islam. But to be credible, those who condemn that slander must also condemn the hate. That's all we need,
Rob, on that one. So there's Barack Obama. The future must not belong to those who slander the Prophet of Islam. Now you start parsing that down. That's pretty spooky stuff. The future must not. In other words, we got to stop the future from being in the hands of people who will slander the Prophet of Islam. In other words, we got people that are going to slander the Prophet of Islam. That's the president of our own country saying those people have to be stopped. We cannot let them have any influence in culture. We can't let them have any political power. We want to discourage them even from speaking their mind to the degree that we can, because the future must not, he doesn't say should not, he says must not. It's an imperative. It's necessary that these people not be allowed to control the future. Now, the problem with that is the definition of slandering the Prophet of Islam. Now, of course, you know as well as I do that according to a Muslim and according to Islam, if you tell the truth about the Prophet Muhammad, you have slandered him, because the truth is that he was a warmonger, warmonger. He was a bandit. He was a brigand. He was a terrorist. He was a pedophile. He was a polygamist. He was brutal. And he was inhumane. I mean, and the list could go on. And all those things are simply the truth. He taught his followers to cut the heads off their enemies. That's why our Marines wore leather straps around their neck when they went into Tripoli back in 1805. That's why they're called leathernecks to this day. That leather was around their necks to protect themselves from the swords of the Muslims. So you just tell the truth about Islam, about Muhammad, that he was a pedophile and a merciless savage. You tell the truth about him, you've slandered the Prophet Islam. And Barack Obama said the future must not belong to people like that. So in other words, what Barack Obama is saying, the future must not belong to people who tell the truth about Muhammad. So that's what Barack Obama said. Now, here, let me give you an excerpt from a speech of another world leader. Any action that is provocative and offends the religious thoughts and feelings of any people, we condemn. Likewise, we condemn any type of extremism. Now, does that sound about the same? I mean, to me, that sounds exactly the same thing that Obama's saying. The future must not belong to those who slander the Prophet of Islam. Here's the other guy. Any action that is provocative and offends the religious thoughts and feelings of any people, we condemn. You know who said that second quote? That's Ahmadinejad said that. So the president of Iran sounded just like the president of the United States. We condemn any action that is provocative of the religious thoughts and feelings of any people. So Barack Obama sounding virtually indistinguishable from the most dangerous man in the world. Now, we'll take your phone calls on the other side of the break and play a couple of more sound bites. But it is interesting that our intelligence, Barack Obama knew 24 hours after that consulate attack, he knew this was not mob violence. He knew that within 24 hours. And yet 5 days after that attack happened, he sent Susan Rice out there to say, oh, no, this was a spontaneous reaction to a movie. We got the president of Libya out there today saying, no, that movie had absolutely nothing to do with it. Barack Obama sent her out to lie to us. Back in 2.